Why is embracing paradox important? Embracing paradox is key, and being able to work with opposites and surf back and forth between opposites of sensation, emotion, belief is absolutely vital for being able to be a whole person that has creative insight in any given moment. Someone who doesn't get stuck. Someone who is able to meet, welcome, metabolize an emotion that's there. Also feel into the opposite emotion and then look for the third thing. This is the sort of transcendent function that Jung talked about, that when you're able to actually meet, be with, and welcome opposites of feeling, of emotion, of belief, then if you can sustain your attention holding opposites, what happens is this third, Jung called third thing, arises. This is a creative impulse. This is seeing life differently. This is somehow being able to synthesize and transcend the opposites that you're feeling and experiencing. It doesn't refuse them, but it says, hey, there's more here. And to be able to, with the practice of deep rest, really work with feeling opposites of lightness, of heaviness, of the left side, of the right side of the body, being able to feel opposites of emotion, working with disappointment, with contentment, working with opposites of belief, like I'm not enough and I'm perfect as I am. What happens as you hold these two opposites is this third integrated sort of transcendent creative function arises. So we're not refusing one aspect of ourselves or the other aspect. We're seeing a more integrated truth. We're only able to get at that when we can hold opposites and kind of hang out with them for a little while. So the key here is learning that I can be resilient to hold a multiplicity, right? I can have a variety of feelings, a variety of beliefs. I can surf between them. And there's a way that when I do so, I'm able to more fluidly step into my experience and see what's most true. When I'm able to tolerate, manage, and hold ambiguity or opposite poles of the spectrum, I'm then able to listen for the third thing. This is where yoga nidra is so powerful, because it's in this liminal in-between state where I can listen for a deeper knowing, something that is a creative impulse that comes from holding opposites. So if you could just imagine that in your life, you've kind of essentially shunned one side of kind of the shadow and embraced the other side. Well, now you're embracing both. You're bringing more of the shadow into the light, but as you do so, you're actually finding new creative ways to even look at your own life and look at the problems that you face. As you do that, you're able to more and more trust your own inner knowing, trust your sense of capacity and resilience, that you can hold the whole. As you do so, you listen for the creative impulse that as I'm holding opposites, what is most true? So the opposite of belief of I'm not enough and I'm perfect as I am, maybe I trust myself. And as I'm looking at a decision or as I'm looking at a problem that I'm facing, how can I really trust my inner knowing as I move through that? This is a really fertile place to be able to be creative with your challenges. If you're willing to go in and meet opposites, hold them for a while and really hang out there, you can come up with some really creative solutions to your problems, some creative ways of being that you hadn't yet thought to embody because you were too busy either refusing one end of the spectrum over here or kind of like trying to live out an idealized version of yourself over here. It's in holding the whole that we get more whole ourselves, and that we're able to like meet and welcome and fluidly be with life. So it's not that you have to work really hard at this. It's simply doing the practice, going back and forth, and then looking for some new kind of novel psychological position, some new way of understanding, some new synthesis can actually help kind of direct and orient your next steps. This is why this work is so important. I have one on welcoming emotions in the Easing the Nervous System series on the Waking Up app. And in that, you go back and forth, and then you look for this third thing. And I also have other practices here on YouTube. So don't try to resolve opposites. Don't look for resolution. It's in holding the tension between the two that this new kind of understanding can arise. It's actually in tolerating tolerating ambiguity and in being with things as they are, seeing the opposites and looking for something new and novel, that you can find your way. And I think just being a good human being is about being able to see that we're all holding within us. And the more we get unstuck from the poles of opposites, the more we can just be whole in our lives. And also be willing to get totally fused and stuck, because when we do, it's just a signal that we're not seeing clearly. So even that is fine. There's this deep self-compassion and deep compassion for others that can emerge when you're able to really look at and tolerate and be with your own inner opposites. I hope this has been helpful.